suggest something with Vishakha?
Yes, Ramananda Prabhu.
Yeah, I was listening Srila Guru Maharaj lecture, Param Guru Maharaj lecture. He was telling it's hard to develop faith in Vaishnava. So could you talk about that or tell more how to develop faith in Vaishnava?
He said it is difficult to have faith in the Vaishnava. That's what you're saying.
Yes, that's correct.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would like to see the context of that, but I think what most likely the context was is he's saying that it is, generally speaking, it is easier for someone to have faith in the Lord, to have faith in God, than it is to have in the Vaishnavas, human beings, devotees who have so many human-like, ordinary characteristics, right? I would think that is the context. I mean, I suppose for myself, I don't see that as an issue. I mean, the way that I feel we've been raised in the family of Srila Govinda Maharaj and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, I feel like that's always been very natural, that we put more emphasis on the Vaishnava, that our first connection is with the Vaishnava, that our real shelter is with the Vaishnavas, that the Vaishnavas are more dear to the Lord than to his own self, right? And this is how we have been trained since birth, you could say. And although the devotees, the Vaishnavas, they may display some, ordinary characteristics, and of course there's a distinction to be made between pure devotees, pure Vaishnavas, and those who are sadhakas, practitioners, right? But we've also been trained by Srila Govinda Maharaj, right, to understand. And this is also what is given in the scriptures, right? That the Vaishnavas, the practitioners, the sadhakas, they may be struggling with different human, qualities and obstacles, defects, right? But they also may have some gold in their heart, right? In their connection with the Lord. And so, this is Paramahamsa Dharma, right? The movement of a swan, right? Taking the milk from the water. So we are trying to practice this Paramahamsa Dharma and to see the bright side, right? See the inspired side, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, to see that side of the Vaishnavas, to connect with that aspect and to overlook their defects, right? And this is how we have been trained by our Gurudev, and this is also what the scriptures are telling us. And actually, if we have the ability to have some deeper vision, if we really want to go to the substance, then it is not a problem, right? It is not a problem. And it is also common sense, right? That we cannot expect to go directly to the Lord. Right? The Lord is very far from us. But the Vaishnavas, they are close. We can learn so much from them. We can gain so much from receiving their mercy. Right? And so it is for one who has more of a discerning eye, for one who really wants to connect in a deeper relationship with the Lord, then it makes perfect sense, right? We don't just want a formal connection with the Lord, but we want to be a part of his family, a real relationship. And that entails developing a relationship with the Vaishnavas. And so really it is very natural. It is common sense, right? So that, that's my own feeling, having been trained in the school of Srila Govinda Maharaj and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and I find it to make perfect sense, right? However, if we kind of zoom out and look within a broader context, then yes, we can say that generally speaking, that is the case, that persons may struggle with that. right? And that they want a relationship directly with God, right? That is something very common. And we hear of that occasion, right, when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was traveling in South India, and he was he and his disciples, they were staying in different places, in different homes of different devotees of different sorts, and he would ask them sometimes, oh, under whose guidance are you conducting your worship of the Lord, right? And for the most part, they would all say somewhat proudly, oh no, my relationship is direct. No one in the middle, no intermediary. I have a direct relationship, right? And Saraswati Thakur, they thought, they're showing how great they are. But Saraswati Thakur was disappointed to say that. And he made some comment, oh, their devotion is of a lower category, actually. Because if one has more developed devotion, more advanced devotion for the Lord, then naturally they also have devotion for everyone who is in the family of the Lord, everyone who has a relationship already with the Lord, right? It is a natural thing. So yes, it is it is true, right? Within a broader context, persons may struggle with that. And why? Because people see, oh, they're doing the same thing I'm doing, right? They're going to the bathroom, they're eating, they're sleeping, they're doing all the same things that I'm doing, right? So why should I give so much attention to them, right? So it may be difficult, it may be difficult. But we must understand that if we want to have, as I said, right, if we want to have a deeper relationship with the Lord, it means that we must connect through his family, right? And then for that, there is some particular line, right? A particular line of approach. And of course, it may be difficult, right? If some of the practitioners around us genuinely have some serious defects, right? Then that may be very difficult. And there are many cases where persons may be disappointed, right? And they may leave the path because they say, oh, I put so much faith in this so-called Vaishnava, and look how they've disappointed me. And we can remember here Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's comment, religion means proper adjustment, right? Religion means proper adjustment. And I like to say so much, right? To come into the school of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, of this mission of Srila Govinda Maharaj and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, it means that we must be able to appreciate nuance, right? Not black and white. Nothing is black and white. But we must be able to come into a more refined conception of the nature of reality, right? And to understand how complex and how developed things may be, right? And so then when it comes to appreciating the Vaishnavas, then we have to understand, there is a gradation. We have to adjust ourselves, differently. We must have a different level, adjusted appreciation for the Vaishnavas according to their level of development, right? And this is mentioned in the Upadeshamrita, right? The nectar of instruction, where Srila Rupa Goswami is discussing how we will approach Vaishnavas of different levels in different ways, right? And it mentions there, this is like the 5th or 6th verse, right? And Rupa Goswami mentions there, that, he mentions in the beginning, those who have, are chanting the name of Krishna, but they are at a very beginner level. He says, we will mentally honor them, and we will be respectful in our dealings with them, of course, but we won't give them too much respect. That won't be so helpful for them or so helpful for us, right? But we will honor them, right? And then those who are remember, how does the verse go? Do you remember? Krishneti yasya, right? Krishneti yasya, Krishneti yasya, maybe Chinmoy could remember. Manasa Jyeta Jish. But like this, it is mentioning how we have a slightly different approach to Vaishnavas of different levels, right? Then those who are a little more, so it mentions, that's right, the very beginner level, we will mentally honor them, we'll respect them, but we won't give them so much formal respect, right? Then those who are more advanced on the path, you know, we will seek friendship with them, we will give a deeper level of respect with them, we will take their advice. And then the highest level of Vaishnava, it mentions, we will wholeheartedly surrender to them. And we will offer ourselves to their divine will, right? Because they are fully pure at heart, and they themselves are fully surrendered to the Lord. And so therefore we have to have some discerning eye. Oh, thank you, Chinmoy Prabhu. This is the verse here. Krishneti yasya Girita Manas, it's in the chat here. Krishniti Yasya Girita Manas Adriyeta Dikshashti Chet Pranati Bishchaba Yantam Isham Sushushaya Bhajanavigam Ananyam Anya Nindadi Shunya Hidamipsita Sangha Labdya. So we have to have this type of discernment, right? Because otherwise what will happen, and this does happen, and we've seen this happen, is if we come in with an inappropriate level of respect to different practitioners, let's say we give too much respect to someone who's not really worthy of it, and we don't give enough respect to someone who is worthy of it, what will happen ultimately is that we will become disappointed, right? And then and our faith can also be disturbed. And there will be cases, and I've seen this, where someone may come and give so much honor and give their full surrender even to someone who's not exactly worthy, and then they come to realize that person is not worthy of that, and then they decide that actually this whole thing is bogus, right? But no, it is not that this is all bogus, but your approach was wrong, and you were investing your faith in someone who was not worthy of that, right? And so therefore it's necessary that we try to develop some discernment in our appreciation of the Vaishnavas, right? And we also and of course that's also challenging, because who are we to really know who is who, right? Our vision is very limited. And there's a very nice expression of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that our Gurudev quotes, saying, I'm very unfortunate because I cannot recognize, who is a real Vaishnava. I don't have the eyes to see. Right? But then he also says, but the Vaishnavas are very merciful. And they, by their mercy and their will, they may reveal themselves to me. They may reveal themselves to me. And so we can pray like that. We can pray to the Lord in our heart, right? We can pray to Gurudev, please show me, reveal to me who is a Vaishnava in whom I can put my faith, show me what is the appropriate approach that I should have towards different Vaishnavas. We can pray for that. And we also have to keep that awareness, right, that we may make mistakes. and just because someone may disappoint us doesn't mean that the whole thing is wrong, right? We have to remember that. And we were just discussing earlier one comment of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, where he was having some discussion with some devotees. They're asking questions and some topics of I think we mentioned this in our meeting here too, not long ago. And some topics of the Christian faith came up, and at a certain point, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, in this discussion, he clarified his position. And he said, I'm not talking about Christianity. He said, I'm talking about what Jesus taught. I'm talking about what Jesus taught. He made a very clear distinction, right? And so we also have to understand that. What is Vaishnavism? What is given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What is given by Srimad Bhagavatam? What is given by the great acharyas of our line? And how that is being practiced, you know, by members of this world, how that's playing out in the here and now, those may be two very different things, right? We have to bear that in mind, right? We have to remember that. And also it may be that for a certain time, someone may be shining a very beautiful light, right? But then different forces may come and take them away for some time. But that doesn't mean that everything that they did was wrong, right? And that the beauty that they showed in their devotion was not real. No, there was something there. But unfortunately, because they're not at a level of perfection, then some other energies, some other currents, you know, they may come and take them away. So as I said, you know, this is a school of nuance, right? And we have to, and I think it comes down to that earlier point, Paramahamsa Dharma, right? That we are trying to extract the nectar. Wherever there is nectar to be found, we want, and whenever, wherever, whenever, right? We want to extract the nectar, like honeybees. Gurudev used that analogy. We want to be like honeybees. And there's one Bengali expression that our Gurudev used to quote sometimes, saying how ants, and you see this in India a lot actually, that some ants, they may enter a beautiful temple and they're just looking for the crack, right? So maybe a beautiful temple of jewels, but they're coming in, the ants are coming in and looking for the cracks, right? Crawling in the cracks. And so our Gurudev, he said once, you know, we don't want to be ants, we want to be honeybees. You know, we want to be honeybees. We want to look for the honey. We want to look for nectar. And so we have to have this broad, accommodating, and yet discerning at the same time type of vision. Discerning and accommodating at the same time. We want to try to develop, we are always hopeful, right? We are always hopeful, we're always optimistic, we're always seeking the beauty, but we are also aware that we are in the mundane plane, and you know, imperfection is very prevalent in this plane. But that does not mean that there is not also beauty. Right? So, yes, I mean, on the whole, I can say we are always praying to have the association of genuine Vaishnavas, right? We may not always have such a privilege, actually. That is another factor, but that doesn't mean we will give up such a hope, right? It is actually to have the association of the Vaishnavas, we can consider that to be the greatest wealth of our lives, really. Those who are real Vaishnavas, that is their aspiration, right? It is mentioned in that famous chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? In the Madhya Lila chapter 8, that discussion between Mahaprabhu, Ramananda Rai, and they have that very profound discussion in the first half of that chapter, going through all the different levels of theistic thought. And then towards the end of that chapter, you know, they cover a lot of ground in their conversations, right? And then at the end, in the last, and this conversation is going on for days, right? And then in the last part of their conversations, at a certain point, Mahaprabhu is, because it's also interesting, right? Mahaprabhu is putting himself in the position of the questioner. And then at the end, Mahaprabhu's final list of questions, they consist of this kind of interview. and he's asking Ramananda all these things, what is the best type of knowledge, right? Things like this. And then one of them, and Ramananda is answering like, anything about Krishna, right? Because all of his answers are along those lines. But then one question is very interesting, how he answers. Mahaprabhu asks him, what is the worst type of suffering? And like in line with everything else, all the other answers that Ramananda has been giving, you might think he'd say, oh, to be separated from Krishna, to not have Krishna's association. But actually he doesn't answer like that. And what he says exactly is, he says the greatest suffering is separation from the Vaishnavas, right? He doesn't say separation from Krishna, but separation from the devotees of Krishna. This is the highest experience of suffering, right? And so conversely, we can also understand that, the opposite is also true, right? To have association with the Vaishnavas, a real Vaishnava, that is the greatest joy, right? That is the greatest wealth. That is the greatest wealth. And it is also considered, it is acknowledged, we can also say in the scriptures, that to have the association of a pure Vaishnava is a rare thing. And there are a number of verses mentioning that. Durlabha, it is mentioned in Bhagavatam. It is a rare thing to have the association of a pure Vaishnava. That may be something that we can aspire for many lifetimes. To have association of a pure Vaishnava. What a wonderful thing that is, right? And so even if we don't have that kind of association, we can aspire for that. We can aspire for that as the greatest wealth. And simply to be able to aspire for that, that is also a wealth. To be able to realize the value of such a thing, that is also a great wealth. And there may be different moments in our lives, when we are able to have the association of a great Vaishnava. Maybe pure Vaishnava, that is more difficult, but at least some outstanding Vaishnava. There may be moments in our lives when we have that opportunity, and we will value that, right? We want to appreciate when we have such an opportunity. We want to appreciate how rare it is and how valuable, how precious it is. And in the meantime, we will appreciate what association we do have. And, we also want to, it is also the quality of a Vaishnava to appreciate Vaishnavata in others, right? Vaishnavata means the quality of being a Vaishnava. So we will also try to recognize Vaishnava qualities in others. And our Gurudev, he made this nice point, right? That it may be very difficult to find a pure Vaishnava, but everyone has percentage of Vaishnavata. Someone may be 5%, right? Someone may be 10%, someone may be 2%. They have some degree, right? They have some quality of Vaishnavata, and we will try to appreciate that. We will try to appreciate that, and also try to help them, right? We will try to inspire that within them, right? We want to be good association also. We had this nice discussion a few days ago here in Limerick, how, it's very common that we are thinking, oh, I want to have good association. Where can I have good association? But our Gurudev, he made this point once. We also have to think, am I good association? We have to think like that too. Am I good association? Let's be a little responsible ourselves, not put it all on others. Am I good association? Am I worthy of good association? Am I actually fit to associate with the Vaishnavas, right? We also have to consider that. We have to we have to take some responsibility too, right? We want to try to follow Vaishnava mood, Vaishnava principles as much as possible ourselves. And we also want to encourage that quality in others. Right? We want to encourage Vaishnava spirit in others, right? Also. And if we find that others around us are not following that, then we should feel more determination. I will follow. I will follow. Right? I will follow the directives of my guru and the scriptures. Till death, right? I will follow that. Our Gurudev, he mentioned this one expression. It was some expression Srila Sridhar Maharaj made, as I recall, where he said that we should have the mood, like if some students are taking an exam, that if only one person is going to pass, let us be that person. Something like that. So maybe Chinmoy remembers better. No, that if there's only going to be one person getting full marks or like that, let me be that person. I will be that person. We should have this type of determination. Even if everyone else fails, I'm going to make it. I'm going to keep going. It is a way of taking responsibility, actually. Those are my thoughts on that subject, Ramananda Prabhu. And I see we have some comments here in the chat. Suyash Prabhu. Suyash was tuning in from Mauritius. It's getting late there, but he's still here. When we have to analyze which devotee is a higher level and which is a not so high level, we have to take into consideration actions they do and mood they have. But how to really analyze and consider less good actions without making any offense? Well, yeah, it's a good question. And it is a little tricky also, because there are different types of faults, right? There are internal faults and there are external faults. And we have to make a distinction, right? First of all, because, let's say an external fault is that a Vaishnava may have some awkward behavior, right? They may have some bad habits even, right? Like, let's say within the realm of morality, like human morality and also gentlemanly behavior, a Vaishnava may have some faults in that department. But when it comes to real Vaishnava quality, they may be solid, right? In terms of their humility, and real humility, right? There are different conceptions of humility. Anyone in the world can be humble, but humble to what? To what ideal? But truly humble to the cause of Krishna consciousness. Right? Humility can be shown in all kinds of ways to all kinds of persons, but is that the type of humility that we're interested in? Right? Someone can show humility to a terrorist. Is that valuable? So we have to understand what is the connection of that humility, right? And so that this can be a tricky thing, right? What is the relativity of those persons' apparent good qualities, right? Are they relative to spiritual principles, or are they relative to human principles? Right? We have to consider that, right? And we may come to the conclusion that we just don't know. We can't tell. I don't have the eye to see. And that's okay too, if we simply accept that actually I don't know, Gurudev, who's who. And our Gurudev made that point, that and so many times I heard him say that we don't know who is a sadhu. We don't know who is a sadhu. Then we will give respect carefully to everyone. Right? And Gurudev also said if we're not sure about someone's position, then we can give respect to them from a distance. Right? We can give respect from a distance if we're not sure. And in some cases, you may see a Vaishnava has some very bad habits, and we may think it really won't be good for me to associate with them closely. But we may also see that they have a very beautiful heart. We may see they have so much attachment to Guru and Gauranga. We may see that they have some very deep spiritual qualities, but then they may also have some bad habits, which, you know, which can also influence us in a negative way. So it can be very complex, right? And one thing, and this is one thing that it can be like the real clue, that is envy. How envious or non-envious they are, that is a fundamental Vaishnava quality, right? Someone may apparently show very perfect behavior, but they show that they are also envious, then they're disqualified actually from being a real Vaishnava. On the other hand, someone may have many terrible qualities as a human being, but they have some drop of real devotion and they are free from envy, right? Then they have something substantial in their heart. So it can be difficult to determine, right? Then to actually answer your question more directly, you're saying, how can we analyze without making offense? That is a very good point. You know, we do have to be careful about that. And the difference is, you know, there's two ways in which we can assess someone's faults. You know, one is with the spirit of criticism and envy or judgment. And then, but then there is also a mood of a student, right? That we simply want to know in the mood of a student so that we can avoid that, or that others can avoid that. There is actually an article of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, maybe I can even find it right now and share it in our chat. It's quite a long article, and he goes into some elaborate discussion of different types of offenses to Vaishnavas and how we can avoid them. And he also discusses there under what circumstances it is permissible to discuss the faults of Vaishnavas, right? And he says that if you are doing so for the sake of instruction, then it is acceptable. Let me see if I can find it here. Vaishnava Ninda, here it is, yeah. So that is, if we are doing it in a spirit of, you know, for our own protection, right, or for our own instruction, you know, simply to know what is what and how to proceed in this type of clean way, in a mood of respect, you know, then it is okay, right? It is the danger of offense comes in when we really have a mood of criticism and judgment, right? Or we want to gossip. That's another danger, right? We just want to spread gossip or participate in gossip. I shared this link here. It's a very wonderful article. And he also gives a list there of all the faults that don't count, right? All the faults that Vaishnavas may have that don't count. And he pretty much doesn't leave room for anything, you know, like he mentions, like faults that Vaishnavas had before they came to practice Vaishnavism, you know, faults that they, or mistakes that they accidentally made while in the practice, right? Or faults that they have just because of the environment of their birth, right? The circumstances of their birth or their culture, that may also give them some faults, you know, but we also shouldn't hold that against them. So he has this whole list of faults, which, you know, we can't judge Vaishnavas for. We shouldn't, you know, critique them on, right? So yes, yeah, it all comes down to being sincere about our own progress and wishing well for others, right? Having that spirit of wishing well for others, that will keep us in a safe position, right? We don't wish ill of others. but we sincerely wish well for others, then we will be safe. But yes, I mean, Suyashru, you've made a very good point. You know, there should be some caution, right? There should be some shyness when we are, you know, assessing, right, the quality, who's a higher Vaishnava, who's a lower Vaishnava. It's, you know, it's something to be done in a very careful way. And it's not, you know, and it's not about hierarchy or anything like that. It's more like you treat a kindergarten student as a kindergarten student, right? If you treat a kindergarten student like a PhD student, that's going to confuse them, and it also won't be very helpful for us, right? It is more in that way, right? Acting in an appropriate way, you know, with the appropriate persons. That is more harmonious and progressive, right? That is the idea. But certainly, you know, we will be careful about it, and we may not necessarily make a very overt, you know, expression of, oh, more respect for this person, less respect for that person. You know, the main point is how we are adjusting in our heart, our relationship with those persons, and how much faith we are putting in them, right? Because real association actually depends on how much faith we are putting in someone, right? How much faith we are investing in someone. That's actually where association lies. You know, like we may go out to the supermarket, or we may go to work and mix with coworkers, and we may laugh and joke about certain things, or we may, you know, have so many topics we discuss with our coworkers or family members, right? But that may all be taking place on a superficial level, right? Right? Then that's not actually, if we're not really putting our faith in those exchanges, then that's not really association, right? Association means where we are investing our heart, where we are investing our faith. That is association. So it is in that area that we will be careful, right? It's not that we're gonna put labels and have different chairs from different Vaishnavas, and it can get very silly. No, but how we are approaching them internally, that is more important, right? Who we will confide in, right? Who we will open our heart to, who we will offer our service to, right? That we will be careful about, right? Well, those are my thoughts on that topic. Chinmoy Prabhu, I'd love to hear some comments from yourself.
Well, just on that question, it reminds me of what Gurudev would say when he was in the beginning, when he was with the Sridhar Maharaj. And, you know, his relationship with Sridhar Maharaj is, you know, personal relationship with Sridhar Maharaj. But when the god brothers of Sridhar Maharaj used to come, and he would see how much they had respect for him, how much praise they would give him, then he started to realize, oh, this is a really great Vaishnava. I'm with a really great Vaishnava. And so in that way too, we can, you know, see from people who are respected Vaishnavas, how they are viewing the other Vaishnavas. That gives us a clue, an idea. Oh, this person is great because look at what this great person is saying about this person. So that way, you know, with Gurudev, when he would talk I've just heard today about how he described Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, or Siddhanti Maharaj, a very dear friend. And so if you knew Siddhanti Maharaj, you may discount him a little bit, Siddhanti Maharaj, because he was a bit strange character. But Gurudev, he is saying, he is my very dear friend. So there must be a very high Vaishnava. That's what I'm thinking.
That's a very, very nice point, Prabhu. Yes, that who we know to be genuine Vaishnava, who they are indicating, who they are recognizing as a Vaishnava. That is a very strong indicator. That is everything, right? And I love the example of Siddhanti Maharaj that you mentioned, because he was very eccentric and very simple-hearted and could appear a little odd, you know, in his behavior. But some of the things that our Gurudev said about him, it was very extreme, you know, like there was one statement he made once: if my disciples will take his foot dust, they will get Guru Bhakti, they will get devotion to Guru, they will take his foot dust. That type of expression he made about him, right? And so when he would make statements like that, then persons would have to sit up and re-examine, right? Oh, superficially I'm seeing, you know, some human nature, you know, very simple nature, but there's some very great wealth of devotion in his heart, right? So yes, that's a really wonderful point, Chinmoy Prabhu. And Suvasini Didi, so this Didi, I'm sure you have something you'd like to share. Come sit here, Didi.
I don't think I have anything to add.
I'm sure you...
It's whatever you said, so good actually. What Chinmay Prabhu said, that's a very good point also, actually. The two things is, one is like, you know, how he described. The other thing is, you know, unless they, you said earlier, unless they reveal themselves, you know, it was hard for us to, you know, understand. So it is like only, as you said, you know, we pray that, you know, they may kindly reveal to us. Otherwise, yes, there is it is hard to recognize. Actually, Gurudev also said one time, I was in London and we were talking about, and I said, I was talking about like a well-wisher, you know, who is our well-wisher? And he said, you know, it's very hard to recognize who is our well-wisher. So it is similar, the same thing, you know, like it's hard to recognize. So unless, you know, we pray that, you know, they will reveal themselves. So
very nice.
And also this is also very good, you know, somebody we have put the confidence and trust in, and they appreciate some, you know, the Vaishnava. And so then we are, you know, we know that we can do that also. Yeah, but yeah, whatever you have covered is very beautiful. It's all, there's nothing much.
Thank you, Suhasini. Very nice. Any other comments on this subject from our... Oh, Vijay Prabhu wants to say something.
You know, like how
Will you come a little closer? They can hear you.
No, I'm just asking, like in the path of like how we avoid ourselves from any kind of pratishtha, or you know, how what kind, like, you know, not let our ego.
I can't hear.
You know,
They can hear. Will you come closer?
just asking you, and
Come here, Prabhu, come here.
He's asking about how to avoid pratishtha, but he's so humble, he won't even say it to the group. So your question is how to avoid pratishtha.
in the path ever, like you know, it does not let anything go into like.
So pratishtha, I think everyone is familiar with this word. Pratishtha is referring to the desire for name and fame, recognition, fame, pride, you know, this used like that. And it is sometimes described as the greatest challenge that we face, right? The Kanak, Kamini, and Pratishtha. These are described as the three main obstacles. Kanak means desire for wealth. Kamini means sense pleasure, desire for sense pleasure. And then Pratishtha, right? That is the desire for recognition, for name and fame. And that is the most difficult, actually, most insidious to overcome. Because, you know, someone may be able to give up, you know, gain of this world, right? Wealth of this world, pleasures of this world. But then there can remain within the heart, you know, this pride. And in fact, it can become even greater. Right? If you're able to give up the world, then your arrogance may increase. Oh, I'm so renounced, right? So it is a different, and also because it's subtle, right? It can like sneak up on you. I liked one comment of our Gurudev. He said it is ego. It is an ever expanding world. We can have ego, we can have ego if we're the temple president. We can have ego if we clean the toilets of the temple, right? Oh, I'm the most humble, right? The person who cleans the toilets, maybe, oh, I'm doing the most humble service. I'm the best devotee, right? Oh, I'm so humble. Let me take a photo and put it on Instagram. So everyone can see how humble I am. And then if someone's the temple president, oh, I'm controlling everything here. I'm managing everything here. So it can sneak up on you in any, circumstance. It can be very difficult. So this is Vijay Prabhu's question, how can we avoid that tendency, right, in our service life? And I like one way that our Gurudev addressed this once. He said, I have to make myself into a Pratishta rocket. In the sense that he said, whatever Pratishta comes to me, I'm immediately sending it to my Guru, like a rocket. He said, I'm not keeping it for myself. That I cannot digest it myself, but I'm immediately sending it to my Guru. Also mentioned, and one thing to remember too about Vaishnavism that is so beautiful is that it's a very inclusive practice and conception. Nothing is actually to be rejected, but everything is simply to be properly connected. And so it is also mentioned that in terms of these three obstacles, we have to recognize who is the real proprietor of these things, right? So it is mentioned that Kanak, wealth, belongs to Narayan, Lord Vishnu. That Kamini, pleasure, belongs to Krishna. Krishna is the god of pleasure and play. So he's the rightful owner of that. And when it comes to Pratishta, to fame, it is said that belongs to Guru. That belongs to our Guru. And so we can think like that. Whatever is to my credit, it is because of my Guru. Right? And whatever is coming to me, I'm offering it to him. That whatever, and our Gurudev, he showed this spirit. He demonstrated this in a very strong way. Almost at every moment, right? Everything was being connected with his Guru Maharaj, and he was speaking about this all the time. Whatever good quality I have, it is because of my Guru, and whatever bad quality, that is because of me. He would say like that, right? And so if we are always living within the relativity of our Guru, we are, whatever is coming to us, we are offering to him, then we will be in a safe position. We aspire to be instruments, right? We want to be vessels. We want to be instruments. We want to be carriers of the Lord's will. Our greatest wealth is realized in that, position, in that role, right? And so we want to allow the light of the Lord, the light of our Guru, to shine through us, right? Srila Sridhar Maharaj gives this beautiful analogy, like an iron rod that is illuminated in fire, right? Becomes very bright and glorious when it is in the flames. So we are like that, And our Gurudev also made one expression, that I am just a lump of clay, right? I am just a lump of clay, and my Guru can form me as he likes, and he said on one occasion, he can make a deity or he can make a monkey. Right? As he wishes, right? It is all in his hands. I'm just his humble servant. Right? Whether I win or fail, I succeed or lose, it is, it is as he wishes, right? It is all by his will. And so if we are always feeling that connection of our Guru, then no Pratishta can attack us. And if we do feel it coming to attack us, we must immediately offer it up to our Gurudev. Remember that connection. I'm remembering now, I was remembering the other day as well, Udamanyu Prabhu, you know, he did such glorious preaching in China and so many places actually, but he told me, I think it was his very last meeting with Gurudev, and it was very funny. He said Gurudev said to him, suddenly, he said, like very, very serious way, he said, Pratishta is going to attack you. He said, like in this very intense way. And you, and it was like so like kind of striking and strong that Udamanyu was like, he was like looking around the room like something going on, or like so Pratishta is going to attack you. And Gurudev said to him, and when that happens, you have to run. You have to run. So, you know, if we are, the fact that you're asking the question, you know, that means you're in a good position, right? That we are aware, we're vigilant, right? Then we'll be okay. We may sometimes feel it coming upon us, but we are aware, you know, we are careful. We don't want to be tricked by Pratishta, right? It is a, yes, as I said, it is a very sneaky thing, and it can also, it will spoil everything. That is the sad thing about Pratishta. It will spoil everything. That we may have so many good qualities, we may be achieving so many wonderful things in our life of service and devotion, but if we have that pride in that and all of that, then it is all becomes worthless actually. And our Gurudev would give that analogy like you've just milked the cow. This is a very Bengali analogy, agricultural analogy. You've milked your cow, you have your beautiful pot of milk, and then just one drop of urine from the cow falls into the pot of milk. Right? Then suddenly it all becomes contaminated. You know, you have to throw the whole thing away. So it is like that. I believe it was Saraswati Thakur originally used that analogy. It is like that, you know. And sometimes we experience that ourselves, right? Sometimes we may meet someone who impresses us very much. We think, oh, wow, they're so qualified and they can do this and do that. And they have this quality and that quality. And then we see that they're arrogant about all their wonderful qualities. And suddenly the picture becomes a little, you know, unattractive. Then you know, then they don't look like such desirable company anymore, right? It really does spoil everything. We can also think about that, right? That I'm spoiling all whatever good qualities I have if I allow the spirit of Pratishta to contaminate. There's a very nice expression in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, and it's actually when it's that case with Keshava Kashmiri, right? He's the Digvijay Pandit, this great Pandit, right? Who's traveled all conquering in all directions. Literally, it's his title for this great Pandit. And he, you know, he's very arrogant because of his great scholarship, and he comes to you know, debate with Mahaprabhu, right, at one time, and Mahaprabhu utterly defeats him, right, and his ego is completely smashed, and you know, there's a whole, you know, thing that takes place, and then he has this blessing from, or this download, we can say, from Mother Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, and she explains, you know, this is the Supreme Lord. And some very nice comments are there. There's one very nice line which our Gurudev liked, saying that the real fruit of knowledge is devotion, right? That is one very nice line there. But then this is what I'm coming to. Then at the end of everything, and this scholar, he's been humbled and realized his position and so on, realized who Mahaprabhu is. then he has another discourse with Mahaprabhu, and there's a very beautiful instruction that Mahaprabhu gives him. He says, a person with many good qualities should be like a tree that is heavy with many fruits, right? That you remember that it hangs hanging low, right? Right. Actually, if someone is really feeling their connection with the Lord and Guru, then they will be humbled to feel, oh, such beautiful qualities are coming through me, right? By the grace of the Lord. One, if it is something genuine and one feels their genuine relationship with the Lord, they will actually be humbled by the beauty that is coming through them. Oh, how blessed am I? How blessed am I to an insignificant soul as I, such grace has come, right? Such mercy has come. So, and how privileged I am to be able to experience this beauty, this quality, this capacity, that I'm able to use this in the service of the Lord. That is also their mercy, right? That is also their mercy. And finally, I can say, that if we are always keeping higher association, right, then we can feel our own position, right? If we're always keeping higher association, and that may be through hearing the tapes of our Guru or reading the books of our Guru, or that may be with taking association with the qualified Vaishnavas around us. But if we always surround ourselves with people who are better than us, let's put it like that, then we can happily maintain our humility, right? Then we can keep some clear view of what is our actual position. Our Gurudev, he would say sometimes in his humility, of course, he would say, I know my position. Actually, it's a little painful to hear from our Gurudev, because, we know how high his position is. But he would say that sometimes with a very deep mood of humility. I know my position. I know my position. And in a very profound way, he would express that. Deep way, not lip deep words. With some heaviness, some gravity, he would express that, right? And how is it actually that these great Vaishnavas can make expressions like this? Because they have such a deep connection, right? Because they have such a deep connection with the Lord. Then they're plugged into the infinite. They're plugged into the infinite. If you're plugged into the infinite, you're gonna feel, you're not so big actually, right? And there's also joy and happiness in that, right? So if we are keeping connection with the higher, right? Keeping higher association, higher company, keeping ourselves exposed to higher things, right? Then we will feel that we are small, very small by comparison, right? So that is very important, that we're always plugged in, we stay plugged into the current of divinity. Then we can safeguard our position, right? And not let that spirit of Pratishta come in and spoil everything, right? We can also pray to our Gurudev. If we feel that energy coming upon us, we can pray, Gurudev, please protect me. Right?
It's the song we sing, like actually with morning, right? So
come closer so they can hear you.
It's also, last week we read in Sharanagati about the song Gurudev, Kripa Bindu Diya. Right? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, it's like, these good qualities, all this like humility, tolerance in that song. And he says like, Shakti Buddhi Hina Amiyati Din. I don't have the ability and I don't have the intelligence, to do all that. So he's praying for Gurudev's grace,
Hmm.
Yogyata vichare kichu nahi pai tomara. Tomara?
Karunasara.
Okay, Tomara Karunasara. I don't have all that. If you examine me, I don't have. So actually last week we went through in the Sharanagati. So all these things, it's, only by your grace, I can be able to practice that, only the humility, tolerance. It's, when we, you say, chant the holy name, this is the mood you should have, humility, tolerance, giving respect. But to practice that still, we need the grace to be able to have that qualities also. And as you said, it's only by connection with that, the higher Vaishnava, always if you're in the vicinity of them, then you can get those, imbibe some of their qualities. When you start to appreciate them, you start to appreciate them, then of course, through that appreciation, you will have that too. And so this is also, the prayer to Vash, like you said, whenever we feel that way, please help me, I'm helpless, I'm not able to control myself in all those ways, so these qualities are attacking, bad things are attacking me. So help, that way also. That's, anyway, that's my thought.
Very beautiful, very fitting, Suvasni Didi. Thank you very much. Well, we were just out of time, so maybe we'll conclude there. Any last comments from anyone in our group? And Tungarasa has a very sweet comment here in the chat. All right. Well, always feeling so happy, so blessed to have all of your good association. Actually, I'm traveling to Mauritius. I'm going to be with Suyash Prabhu and his family on Sunday. And so we'll see. I will have to work it out. Maybe we can do it an hour earlier because he's tuning in now, but I think I might be too tired. It's 10 o'clock now. A bit too late for me.
Yes, it's 9 to 10.
So yeah, maybe we'll think about it, and Ati Sunji will announce what the plan is. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for hosting, Ati Sunji. Thank you for joining us, Chinmay Prabhu, Ramananda Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful topic that you brought up, and thank you all for being present. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. All the assembled devotees, sincere seekers ki Jai. Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki Jai. Jai Gaur Premanand. Hari Bol.
Jai Vishakha Dasi ki Jai.
Jai.